so tired of being here, suppressed by all my childish fears. And if you have to leave, I wish that you would just leave. Your presence still lingers here, and it won't leave me alone. This wound won't seem to heal. This pain is just too real. There's just too much that time cannot erase. You cried, I'd wipe away all of your tears. When you'd scream, I'd fight away all of your fears. And I held your hand through all of these years, but you still have all of me.
Thank you for that, Jazz. Very good morning, everyone, and a warm welcome to the show. We wish we could come to you under better circumstances, but I know all my fellow Malaysians, you're well aware of this. We come to you on the back of a tragedy that's affected over 100 lives in Batangkali. Our deepest condolences go out to the families that were impacted by this tragedy, and we truly hope that we can all come together, as we always do as Malaysians, to support whatever efforts is needed to help alleviate the pain and suffering of the individuals involved. On that note, we welcome you to a very special episode on To Terrence. Welcome to the show, and thank you for joining us today. Now, on the back of this very heartbreaking tragedy, it is truly something that has shaken us to the core once again as Malaysians, and we grapple with the loss of so many lives. There are some issues that require answering as to why that site was there in the first place, operating without a license. And if we look at the geography of the situation, the magnitude of what has happened is amplified. The parking lot, the campsite, and a circumference that is quite large was affected by the entire slide. Under it, still buried a lot of answers, and we're still under it buried a lot of victims that are affected by this tragedy. As such, all campsites have been ordered closed in the state of Selangor for 7 days, and the entire government machinery has been mechanized to help. We see our Wira Merah, hashtag all of our troops, and also we do note the contributions made by our boys in red, the APNM, and NATMA. Everyone was galvanized to do their part, and this is truly heroic. We applaud their efforts. 10,000 ringgit for each of the victims that face a loss, and even the Ministry of Education has stepped forward to help the students that were affected by this tragedy. The loss of life and the hurt that has been caused by this entire issue is something that we still need to evaluate and understand as to why it continues to happen. Now, although landslides are not something new in Malaysia, this is perhaps the first time that we hear that it happened at a campsite where recreational activities were taking place. Now, during the monsoon season, islands around the country are already ordered closed. So, another question to ask is, why was this campsite still operating despite the warnings, despite the bad weather, despite the conditions? So on that note, I also would like to turn your attention, viewers, to the journalists that are bringing you these stories. Now, just this morning I heard one journalist actually embarked on a rather arduous task. He got on a bike and he had to brave some rubble in getting to the site to make sure he had first-hand account of what was happening and do his best to break the story in real time to all of us. So that got me thinking, what are the trials and tribulations that these journalists face in bringing us a story? Sometimes they are the true unsung heroes, because without them, we wouldn't know what's actually going on site. So to that point, I guess it is a great opportunity to speak to someone who's been doing this her entire career. And she joins us now. She's one of my heroes here at RTM. She has been doing this for just under 20 years. Please welcome my hero, journalist extraordinaire, to talk to us about the trials less traveled of every journalist in Malaysia, HANIM MUHILI.
Hello. Hi, Terrence.
Hey, good morning, HANIM. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Grab a seat,
I'm
please.
so happy for you. I'm so happy for this show. I'm sorry that I haven't been able to make it. You've been asking me to do this for quite some time. Yeah, I'm finally here today. Thank you for having me.
But I wish it could be under better circumstances as we grapple with
Yeah.
another national tragedy. So I started this segment by talking about the trials less traveled of every journalist in Malaysia. What does it take for a journalist to break a story like this to the public?
Okay, first and foremost, you have to understand that there's always this very thin line between what a reporter does and what a journalist does.
Okay.
People are often confused about. I've been asked this many times. Are you a reporter or are you a journalist? They're basically the same, but when you're a reporter, you go to the scene, you do whatever you're supposed to do, and you present whatever you have to the audience, right? So that's what a reporter does. And then there's a group of journalists. This group of people, they don't just report, but they investigate as well. So when you mentioned about this journalist that you were just talking about, who had gone all the way just to get his story across, for me, that's what a journalist does. You don't just sit there waiting for various sources to come to you and report to the audience. A journalist does not really think much about their safety at that particular time when you want to get your message across. That's a very dangerous thing. And people often think that we are out there with all this luxury. People think that when we go out, you get covered. You are covered. You're safe. That's totally not it. You're always in a very dangerous situation, and you often think about what people want to know from, in this case, the tragedy.
Right. So when we look at this tragedy, as it unfolds, there are safety concerns around the area itself, because the span of the circumference of what just happened is truly tragic. The car park, the campsite, and the surrounding areas were all affected by the landslide. And I can only imagine the kind of tribulations a journalist face going into such a situation, because there's no way the APNM or the fire brigade and the people on the rescue side of things are going to focus on the journalists. They're going to worry about getting the lives out. That's their primary concern. So who makes the area safe for the journalist? I mean, the journalist has to exercise his own judgment. That's
true, yes. There are certain guidelines you have to adhere to, obviously, and when you're there, when you're doing what you're doing, you basically know how to let me put it this way. Like you mentioned about safety, right? You put yourself in that position, so you have to know what to do first. But at the end of the day, what you said was right. We often don't think about ourselves that much. So yes, you have to be very careful when you're in places like that. But it's always not the first thing we think about. You want to get your information across. And sometimes you don't think about how dangerous a situation is. And it gets very frustrating as well for people like us, because we want to be the first to report. But at the same time, you sometimes don't think about how the security people are facing or what they're facing. And they're going through such tough times, and when they don't allow you to go to certain areas, it's because they know it's not safe for you.
Right.
But when you're in our position, you tend to think the other way around, and that's often the problem we face as well. And it gets really frustrating. I understand the safety part, and I have to speak on behalf of the other journalists as well. And it gets really frustrating when you're there and you're not able to get the story out. There's a very for young journalists now, I hope that they know that it's not just about being the first to get your story out. Your safety is very important, and when you're not safe, you're not able to get the story out. So just don't think too much about being second.
Right.
You get what I mean?
I get what you mean, and I wanted to do this piece here because I know every other outlet, every other news outlet here on RTM, as well as all the other channels, are focusing on the tragedy itself, getting you the latest updates. So I wanted to bring you the story behind the people that actually bring you the breaking news. And thank you, Hanim, for sharing that. With that, I want to ask you, why journalism? Why did you choose to be in this line in the first place, like 20 years ago when you walked through the doors? Why?
I started 20 years ago with RTM. This is where I started. I'm still here.
You're still here.
There have been ups and downs. We're not going to talk about that, but I'm very passionate about what I do. It's not just about being on TV and things like that. It's like, you know, when you write something and people actually read what you write and they are affected by it, or when you report, that's me.
That's you, on top of a fighter jet.
A few years ago, yeah.
Was this before or after you went in?
No, this was probably in 2017. Yeah, that's Lima 17, so that's 2017.
So Hanim is the first female journalist to get into the cockpit of a fighter jet.
Yes, I was.
And fly.
Yeah.
How far did you fly? Or how long were you in there?
That was in 2011 when I became the first non-pilot female in the world.
In the world? Wow.
Yes,
okay.
To have been given the opportunity to fly in a Rafale fighter jet. Rafale fighter jet is owned by the French Air Force. I was very lucky, and I had to go through a lot of processes as well. There were a lot of tests that we had to go through, and I was chosen. There were a lot of people who wanted to be
the first.
And I was chosen. And that was remarkable. It was.
So that was, I would presume, an unexpected perk of the job.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
But still, why journalism?
Oh, yeah.
We got sidetracked by that.
We got sidetracked by that. I don't know. It's just being able to affect people with what you write, with what you report. I don't know. It's like sometimes it's more of telling stories on behalf of other people.
That's so true.
That's what I feel about journalism.
During the MH370 tragedy, which is another national tragedy, that was journalism at a whole different level, because you were not just breaking the news, you were digesting facts.
Oh yeah.
And you were recomposing them into, distilled bite-sized information that you could disseminate. You didn't just give us the whole story. You broke it down bit by bit. And I think that was your best body of work.
But that was really tough because you don't really have anything to report about. The search was ongoing. So a month after the plane went missing, we were still reporting from the location, from the site, from the final location the ping was heard. The flight ping was heard. So we were in Perth, in Australia, for a long time. And after 2 weeks of the tragedy, people stopped telling you people stopped giving you information. The authorities stopped telling you what's happening. And that's when you get stuck. But still, I had to report. I think about 7-8 times a day. On TV live, and it was very difficult. So it was like I felt like I was a part of MH370 at that time, because I really had to understand not just about the aircraft, but also about aviation, about everything else. And it was really difficult. But yeah, I really enjoyed reporting on that. I still think about MH370 up to this day. It has been 8 years. Almost 9 years now, in April 2023. And I still think about things like that. And it's not just MH370. I had reported on other disasters as well. The first tsunami in Aceh, I was there. And I went to Gaza when the war happened. There were a lot of other experiences. And every single experience is very different. Yeah.
Right, and with MH370, we still don't have all the answers.
Yeah.
So that speaks to the beguiling nature of that entire tragedy. You also reported on some national achievements, some proud moments for Malaysia. How do you shift from, the sort of journalism that requires you to be asking the questions and getting the hard facts that people want to the jubilation and the celebrations of Malaysians?
I always tell people when they ask me, do you think, when you're in this line, it's very similar to acting, because you get what I mean?
I do.
I don't necessarily agree with that. It's like you're yourself. You're not acting. When you speak and when you're giving out your information, when you're putting your story out there, you're not acting. It's you.
Okay.
But you sort of put yourself into the mood when you report about a certain situation, certain event. You're a part of the event, so you somehow get involved in the whole situation. So whatever you see on TV when I'm reporting, whether it's something happy or something sad, it's because you're already a part of it. So that's hence the mood. Sometimes you see, why you're so happy today, and the next day you're very sad, and are you acting? No, it's just you put yourself in it.
So I want to take us back a little bit to when you first walked through those doors, sat down for the interview and auditioned to be a journalist. A lot of young people would ask me, can you help me get a job here? Can you help me be on camera? To me, that's not really how it works. You got to prove your mettle. Talk to us about that process of how you proved yourself.
I came in 20 years ago to RTM, spoke to my former boss. I came to see her and told her that I was interested in doing this. And she looked at me and she said, "You're very young." And I'm like, yeah. I was about 21, 22. So she's like, what can you do? What can you offer us? So I gave her some of my writings. I had done some writings in university, so that helped a lot. And still, she didn't really at that point of time, she didn't really think I was the person suited for the job, I guess. So she wanted to see what I was capable of. So I told her, just give me a few months and we'll see. We'll take it from there. And I've been asked this many times, why RTM?
That was my next question.
We're not going to go there. But So it took me a number of years to really prove myself. But I'm just someone who won't give up. You give me something to do, and as it gets frustrating at times, but I'm just that kind of person. It's like the more you tell me you can't do this, the more I'll do it and prove it to you. So
that speaks to the tenacity of this woman right here and why she's so awesome. Do you have any final words of wisdom that you can impart on young journalists? I know you gave a little one-liner on safety just now, but do you have anything else you'd like to say to young journalists who want to follow in your footsteps?
I just hope that they do fact-checking all the time. I always tell them, fact check. I know you want to be the first on the screen, you want to be the first to disseminate information. You just have to remember, going back to what journalism is all about, people have to trust you. You have to be trustworthy first. If whatever you report is not trustworthy, then there's no point being in this line. Always remember that it's not about you, it's about other people. It's about this. When you're in this line, it's not about what you want people to hear. It's what people want you to report for others to hear. So it's not about you. Your opinion does not really matter. So it's about giving an impact. Yeah, it's not about you. Just remember that, and always fact check.
I like that. Your opinion doesn't matter, so don't put your opinion into the journalistic piece.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Hanim, for being on the show.
Thank you, Terrence. Thank you so much. It's good to be back in the studio with you.
Do you miss this now?
I know. Yes, I do. I mean, I hope someday it happens again. But
we're looking forward to seeing you back on the airwaves. And on that note, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll have more on the tragedy, a little from the tourism aspect of things. And we also have a Christmas hack in store for you. That's why we brought out the tree early. So don't go anywhere. Talk to Terrence. We'll be right back after these messages. Thank you for staying with us on Talk to Terrence. Thank you, Jazz, for the music as usual. And as you can see here on RTM, we're covering extensively the tragedy that is unfolding. We're going to find out all we can about what is happening in Batangkali, and we're going to break it to you. So stay with us on all our channels, including, of course, Saluran, BERITA, RTM. But for now, we're going to explore a little bit more about the touristic side of the issue. We asked Hanim about the journalistic side. So joining me, we have the president of the Malaysia Tourism Council, or MTA. Please welcome my next guest joining us live today, UZAIDI UDANIS. Welcome, sir. How you doing?
How are you?
Thank you. Thank you. Please.
Thank you.
Please have a seat. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure having you here today. I wish we could be having this conversation under better circumstances. But we're going to start off with the focus on Batangkali again. Minister Ngah Komeng did mention that there were some permit issues with the project itself, and the operators didn't necessarily have all the licenses they need to carry out what they have been doing all this while. So can you speak to that? I mean, there are many campsites, there are many tourist attractions around the country. How important are the safety aspects, especially when those touristic elements involve, I would say, risk behavior? Scuba diving, skydiving, even campsites, because of where the campsite was located. I mean, it is on a cliff, almost literally. And we also have things like action tourism, bungee jumping, adventure, and all these touristic elements are something people want to do. But then, do the operators have the necessary licenses?
Well, Terrence, first of all, thanks for inviting me for this fantastic studio happening.
Thank you.
And on behalf of tourism industry players, we would like to extend our condolence to the victims of families, victims. This is actually a very unfortunate for us, especially during these school holidays and people trying to enjoy themselves. And this natural disaster, what you call natural disaster, and natural disaster is very difficult for us to predict and for us to to see how can we. But what we need is we try to get all the tourism players or tourism product operators or the adventure operators to work with the professionals to make sure the safety of the tourists. In tourism industry, we have this safety first. That means safety is good. That means business is good. That's the important slogan for us. So it's very important for us to make sure that tourist safety is number one agenda for us. But again, we don't want to, it's not the time for us to blame each other.
Right.
Not for, we can't just, pointing each other. We tend to do that, Terrence. We tend to do that. Whenever there's an accident, when there's a tragedy, we tend to blame to each other. This guy has no compliance, no license, everything. Well, what we need is to make sure that the safety of tourists, to see the whole ecosystem. We have fantastic products. Malaysia, I think, one of the most fantastic tourism products. We don't not only the theme park, not only the hills, the mountains. We have everything here. So tourists nowadays, they need experience. They want to have a good experience. So the experience, we can provide the experience. If you to compare to other countries, we have more experience that we can offer. But I hope that the product operators need to work with the what they call it, professionals, so that the safety is important for us, and to work with the industry players. Don't just work alone, and please make sure that all the PBTs be more proactive. I'm sure you can just build a fun fair. And suddenly, whenever the disaster happens, they will blame, hey, this funfair no license. You can't do that. You can't do. Everybody has to be proactive in terms of this, trying to minimize this.
It's not about blame, but if an offense had been committed, I do believe responsibility needs to be borne by the operator.
Yes.
So, bearing all proper investigations, I would say if an offense has been committed, the individual or individuals responsible has to take the blame. It doesn't affect the entire industry. It just shows that there are players like this operating outside the scope of the law. Because there are acts, there are rules and regulations in place to ensure safe tourism. And people who operate outside of that should be held accountable.
Agree. Well, the tourism industry is very dynamic and very, very sensitive. If you have these kind of perceptions, the world's perceptions that Malaysia has no enforcement, lack of enforcement, lack of regulation, lack of protections.
Which is not true.
Which is not true. But which we need to to make sure that the image of the country, we can't just blame each other.
So whether or not we want to look at it that way, this one incident has now caused all campsites in the entire state to be shut down.
That's right.
And this has been effective since today. So it's in effect right now, and all of these campsites will be shut down. Do you think it's a good opportunity to do some soul searching and to check the minutiae, the details behind each campsite?
I think I agree on the Yang Amat Berhormat Timbalan Perdana Menteri, the Deputy Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Zahid Hamidi, was saying that cease all the operations in terms of try to see, because according to the meteorological department, we're going to have a very bad weather. So I think it's about time for us to to look and to take stocks on the safety of the tourists. I need to see whether this clamping or glamping, even though we are very excited, the tourism players are very excited. After these 2-3 years, we need to recover. Therefore, they diversify. They have been diversifying in terms of the farm. They want to diversify in terms of accommodation. They want to diversify to all kinds of services. But again, the number one must be safety. And we need to comply the local regulations, which I think we need to work together. We have to be one team to make sure the safety is number one. I mean, good safety means good business.
Safety is a great way to market a product. I mean, if you can guarantee safety at any location or activity, I do believe that there is a huge market for that. Because ultimately, people want to experience these things, but they want to ensure that they are safe as well. I mean, it's not just all about the Instagramming.
That's right. It's not OTV.
They are going there to experience this as a family. They want to ensure that they can have a great time and also be safe. So on top of that, we do have, of course, the next year to look at. What are the plans for the tourism industry moving forward into 2023, where things are expected to be a bit choppy on international waters?
Well, first of all, we are so grateful that since the opening of the border in April, we have been increasing. We have been receiving a lot of tourist arrival. For example, as of September, we received about 5.3 million of international tourist arrival compared to 17,000 tourist arrival in 2021. That's almost about 7,000% increments. So this is good. But as you know, the world economy is not looking good. A lot of things has been inflation, then recession throughout the world. That's why we need to emphasize on quality, the tourist quality, not the quantity. It's no longer to have big numbers of tourists where we cannot even deliver the service with all the shortage of the manpower, the shortage of the resources. Where we need to make sure that we focus on the quality instead of quantity. Terrence.
On a bright note, China is opening up again, so that means they will be able to travel. Are we ready to receive the influx of Chinese tourists in a brand brave new world where COVID is the norm, and we're going to be seeing instances where maybe there might be some spikes here and there. So on the health side of things, are we ready?
Well, this pandemic give us good lessons. We need to always be cautious. We cannot be in the comfort zone. We always need to make sure that the health in paramount, good safety, good health. Therefore, China is one of the most important market for us in Malaysia. Chinese tourists, they love to come here. They love to spend money. It's one of the most spenders in Malaysia. Therefore, and due to this slow growth of the economy, we need China's market. Therefore, we are looking forward to. A few days ago, I was with the China Embassy to see how we can improve the quality for the Chinese tourists and preparing for the Chinese tourists. I'm sure there's a little bit on changing on the trends instead of groups, more on individual family units to come here. So therefore, we need to prepare for all those requirements from China.
As the importance of China returns to the global marketplace, I just want to ask you this. This is a side note. We do have tour operators that are able to communicate with the Chinese tourists, but that's a kind of small number, right? We have 1 billion plus people in China, and I'm sure the market is huge. Would you recommend that more Malaysians get acquainted with the Mandarin language, whether or not they're in language schools? Hold that thought. We'll get to the answer shortly. Jazz, you may want to answer that too, because you sing in all kinds of languages. Yeah, you sing in every language.
Not every, but some.
一点点啦。
Yeah, it is a bit lah.
一点一点。
Just a bit.
Okay, 没有问题。三姐, we'll be back right after this. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the show. Thank you for staying with us. Now, when we left off, we talked about Batangkali, we talked about safety and security around the tourism industry. And then we moved on to China, which is opening up, and we're welcoming tourists from China once again, perhaps in 2023. So as we look to that horizon, my question to Encik UZAIDI was about language proficiency and how we need to cater to that huge market. Do we have enough people who are proficient in Mandarin? Jazz, 我会听一天天。你呢？
Tak faham.
Tak faham. Okay. But he sings in all languages, by the way, even Tamil, mind you. So, Encik UZAIDI, do we have enough tour operators that are able to cater to that vast market? I mean, we're talking like 1 billion people, perhaps 40% of that would be our market because they are the affluent, middle class Chinese tourists. And let's not forget about the super rich.
Yeah.
Tons of them there as well. So that's a huge market.
Yeah, a good question, Terence. You know, we used to receive 3 million of tourists in before to 2019. I expect that we're going to have a little bit more the next 2 years. Therefore, we need to cater for those requirements. Chinese, the English is compulsory.
In China?
School, yeah.
Oh, wow.
So it's in the next few more years, more Chinese will learn, we know, we understand, we communicate. But again, Malaysia is a tourism nation. Therefore, we need all our rakyat to learn all kind of language. Spanish, Indian, they have so many of languages, dialects and everything. Even Chinese, the Hokkien, the Mandarin, everything. I hope that all the Malaysians do embrace this, learn new language so that we can communicate better to the world.
Right, absolutely. I mean, I didn't use India as an example because in India there are 200 different dialects with the writings.
That's right.
So it's a lot more complicated, but with China they have one language, one writing, so Mandarin basically covers the whole country. It's a little bit complicated for India, but Spanish, I get you, yes. Spanish.
More romantic, more...
¿Cómo estás, señor? That's about as far as I go with that. All right, let's come back to our own tourism products and how we're going to promote these products. I mean, there are some products that we're famous for, the Twin Towers, you know, those beautiful skylines that we have. We have new and upcoming products in terms of towers like the 188. That's also going to be a key feature of our tourism highlights. What other products are you looking forward to promote to the world?
Well, during these 2 years of pandemic, we learned to, we know that a lot of tourism destinations being brought up. We in tourism industry, MITA, we try to promote, we try to see whether the deliverability of whether it's compatible, these products are compatible. Looking at this Merapoh, it's a fantastic place. It's hundreds of caves just nearby, right near the highway. You look into this Lenggong. It's one of the most historical place where we can enjoy the foods, we can enjoy the the natural. If we look into other places, for example in Bagan Dato, people thought Bagan Dato, what's there in Bagan Dato? It's in Malay, it's ujung dunia. But again, Bagan Dato, we have this sunflower, one of the biggest sunflower farm in Bagan Dato, where we can take picture, we can see, we can buy the sunflower, and they have these sky mirrors, and they have these blue tiers. So actually, all in Malaysia, any part of Malaysia, we have this tourism product, or they call it destinations for tourists. We need to promote. Of course, we cannot promote everything, but I hope the community can promote through We Together tourism players. And we are now thinking of more towards the community-based tourism. We use this agenda to elevate, to make sure to eradicate all the poverty, especially in desa, in the rural areas. Use that as a tool to eradicate all these poverties. Tourism is very important for the economy of the country. So we hope everybody can participate, not only hotels, not only travel agents, but everybody can participate in this line.
I'm glad you talked about the local community because yes, we are welcoming tourists from around the world. We have some fantastic destinations. But the price tag can be a little hefty and it may not be affordable to the local market. to buy a design that we don't want to be cheap because we don't want to be seen as that destination for budget travel. We want to be seen as a destination for quality travel, as you mentioned.
Yeah. You know, the UNWTO, they encourage all the tourism countries to rethink tourism. I mean, we have to think, what is our capacity? How can we deliver good service? How can we not damage the environment? So therefore, we need to have a quality tourist. We can't just go on everybody to come here and, to create damage, to unease, to create all the social uneasy things. But we need to have quality tourists which can contribute to the economy and also to balance up the environment. Especially, this is the best way for us to encourage more tourists come here.
All right, my producer has just volunteered herself and our team to fact check the hotel price list.
Okay, all right. Looking forward to.
Oh man, this is not, because it's not come from me. This comes from inside, the voice in my head. And so you'll see her name at the end of the program. She has volunteered to go fact check a hotel price list for you.
Yeah.
But on that note, I want to come back to what we were talking about earlier and tie this a bit into what you just mentioned about the environment. What are the best practices that we have for the tourism industry moving forward?
Well, Terence, compared to other countries, especially those countries who are developing now in tourism, Saudi Arabia is really emphasizing on tourism industry.
Absolutely.
Because they know that tourism industry is one of the solutions for their economy. They're going to spend $800 billion US for the next 5 years. Malaysia is right to the front. And they are doing. We are doing well in terms of the regulations, in terms of the products, the inventories. But of course, due to the economy, due to the COVID pandemic, pandemic, we have to restart back, and it's not easy. We have 6,000 buses. Not all buses are actually on the road. We have a lot of airplane. Not all the aircraft are flyable. Yeah, they can't just start the engines and go and fly. Oh, they need to maintain. They have to make sure everything. So therefore, it's demand and supply. And if some people say, "Oh, it's very expensive," yeah, because it depends on demand and supply. So all these things require some time for us to. I hope that I really appreciate our locals, our rakyat, to support our industry. But again, this is actually a trying time for us to make sure that we deliver the best service. I know that some of them are complaining. Why do I have to? I can only check in at 3 p.m. and I have to check out at 11 a.m. So that, but you have to see the whole thing. Nobody wants to make up our bed, make up the hotel's bed. So these are the demand and supply, and also the current issue, which we are trying our best to solve these problems.
Right. On a final note, I want to wrap things up. Come full circle. Regulators for tourism. How widespread are there? What are the agencies that people can look out to complain? Can you give us a list?
I think under this, our new ministers, Yang Berhormat Tiong King Sing, the new Minister of Tourism, I think we're going to have a lot of engagement with the ministry, the authorities, the PBT, the local councils. Local councils. It's very important to be on the same page. We don't want to have a different page, and when this thing happen, everybody start blaming each other. So we need to be in one page. I think we will support the Ministry of MOTAC and also the Tourism Malaysia are trying their best to promote Malaysia. We need to make sure that everybody plays their own part. We cannot just go on silo, and in this case, a lot of engagement need to be done. And into regulation, take a look at it. If it's not relevant, take it out. If it's relevant, make it, improve it, and so that the tourism industry players can have more business, can make it easier. The business can make it easier, not just more on bureaucratic. Just because you want to have regulate, you just put a regulation there. It has to be relevant. It has to be more current regulation rather than the old regulations.
All right. So on a personal note, we want to ask you what your recommendations are for this holiday season.
Wow.
I mean, you already know we're going to eliminate certain areas that are affected by bad weather.
Yeah.
But what would your recommendation be to Malaysians, especially those with kids at home, now that school holidays are here?
Yeah, I'm happy to see that most of the hotels actually now is fully booked. Yeah? These are good indicators during the school holidays. But I will suggest to all our the Malaysians to plan ahead. don't just spontaneously. You want to go to holiday, you book now. That will be has a very difficult. I mean, high prices and all things. And then you complains. You need to plan. I think we know that next year's holidays, plan, not just spontaneously. Plan. Then you get a good deal. And Mita is going to have a lot of festival, a lot of offers through online and everything. So that take advantage of it. We work together with Tourism Malaysia to have vouchers, all the vouchers. Take advantage of it and get the best deal out of it.
Thank you very much, UZAIDI, for joining us. We wish you all the best in the coming year, 2023, a tough one. And we're looking forward to some bright sparks in the tourism industry. We hope that, of course, we improve on certain safety areas. But thank you very much for coming in today. It's a very interesting time. But thank you for taking up our offer and joining us on Show Live.
Thank you.
All right, on that note, guys, we're going to take another short break. And when we come back, we're going to get into the Christmas mood a little bit. That's why we have the trees, and that's why we have the presents out. Johnson has got a present for you. He's going to teach you some Christmas hacks. Whatever that may be, let's find out shortly on Talk to Terrence. Don't go anywhere. Watch out, you better not cry. No, don't go on, Jazz. Don't go on. It might cause even more rain. Thank you very much for staying with us on Talk to Terrence. Thank you, Jazz, for that. And that was an intro to our next part of the show, where we're going to highlight Christmas a little bit. I mean, it's in the air. Everyone's shopping for Christmas, and you're getting your presents ready for your loved ones. So as you get ready for a very Merry Christmas, we have Johnson, who's going to be putting the focus on some Christmas hacks. What are Christmas hacks? Johnson, come on up. Oh, you just ran in. You're excited.
Yeah.
Should let Jazz give you a nice intro. Grab a seat, bro. He's so excited, pumped up to share his Christmas hacks with us. And it turns out everybody's in sync today. Hanim was in pink. You're in purple, pink, maroon.
Candy cane.
I'm in maroon. Everyone's in the red and Christmas colors, even Jazz. He's got bright red on. It's very rare. So what are Christmas hacks, bro?
So, okay, I mean, we live in a world, two things, right? One, don't have time to go and prepare and maybe get some decorations up and things like that. Second, there's a lot of resources around us, right? That's what I always love. So we can actually do some DIY, some Christmas hacks to save time, save money, and
Wait a
use
minute.
and repurpose.
There's not going to be another one of those fold and color Christmas gift,
let's
right?
gonna do this together.
No!
Yeah, that was our last session, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, we never done that before, and hopefully we'll never do that ever again.
Well, because some of the hacks, it might take like half an hour to build, but it's just half an hour rather than spending hours to decorate and stuff like that. So, but yeah, I've prepared some slides. So we can go through them and see some of the little hacks that we can build at home.
Okay, good.
Use
So
things
you've
around
already
us.
done all the work.
Yeah. So like for example, like Christmas wreath, right?
Okay.
what do you call
Alright.
that?
A wreath,
wreath.
wreath.
Wreath, yes,
Wreath.
correct.
Normally a green thing that you hang in front of your house.
Correct. So of course, in the European countries and all that, you can just go outside, just grab something off from the bush, put them in the round thing, and
I don't know if
hang
that's
them up,
how they
right?
do it.
Yeah. So here, what we can do is we can just use a hula hoop, right? And then you have all those threads and all that. If you like to do sewing, okay, hang them around with a big ribbon, and there you go.
Well, there you go. That's one hack. Yes, I think it will fit nicely on your door if you're celebrating Christmas. And if you're not celebrating Christmas, you can maybe change the outlook of that and still would work. Okay, next.
Okay, yeah, these are all tiny, tiny Christmas trees you can do using cones, using the toilet roll.
We have a lot of those since the pandemic. They were sold out.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, it's a fun activities together with the kids. Sit down, we can color them up. We can do that into like Santa or snowman or reindeers, along the Christmas theme. Yeah, at the same time, yeah, for any other types of celebration as well, right? If you have a figure and all that, you can use that, right?
Okay, so build your own Santa, build your own snowman, and build your own Rudolph.
Yeah, exactly,
Rudolph
with the red
right there.
nose.
Rudolph is the only reindeer with a red nose, by the way. So let's move on. What else do you have?
Yeah, then what we can do also, well, we can do a lot of other stuff, like even these few are those bigger Christmas trees,
Oh
right?
my.
Yeah, stacking up with books, right? We have a lot of leftover wrappers, the end wrapper sometimes is left like 4 inches, you can't do anything with it.
Right.
Never mind, keep them rolled up, okay? A few sizes of them, you can put them up, and then ta-da, you can have a Christmas tree on the wall. Right?
Nice. I think the books thing, right? Because Malaysians, yes, we do buy a lot of books, but not all of us get through to the final page. So if there are books that you don't read or never will read, perhaps you could use them as a Christmas tree. And then you know what? If you finally feel the urge to read the book, you can take it down and read the book.
Yeah, always take it from the top, yeah?
Can we go back, Miss Producer? Can we go back to the other slide? We missed that one. So let's take a look at the previous slide. Ghostan skit. There we go. Okay, what's this?
Okay, so this one very simple. The base, the stem of the tree is actually an ice cream stick. Okay, of course this is like this yes.
All right.
Yeah, you can just get some cardboard, right? Cut it up into this little triangle shape, stick them up together, and you have a little Christmas tree on your desk, office desk, your study desk and all that.
Very ESG. Very ESG, my friend. Let's move on to the next hack. That looked kind of edible. What was that? That looked like gingerbread.
No, this is actually, the base of it is your mineral water bottle or those soft drink bottles.
Now I can
Just cut
see
off the
the
top,
thing.
same thing as well. I mean, penguins and Rudolph and Santa, and you can plant stuff in it.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cute, man.
Yeah, so this is a reused hack actually. So usually what I do with this, with the kids, students and all, we paint it up into normal, blue and all that, normal decorations. But yeah, we can make it thematical.
Hang on, we need to go back again. Miss Producer, we need to go back again to the earlier one because we missed that hack. So these are hacks that you can actually do at home right now. In fact, I hope you're inspired to try some of them and give them a go. Because this one, I think this speaks to my heart because we have a lot of buttons. We have a lot of buttons. As guys, sometimes the suits, they come with extra buttons.
Exactly.
Which you don't use.
You're right.
And
your
this would
old
be...
clothes torn and stuff like that, before you throw them away or use them as rag, you remove the buttons as well, right? Yeah, just paint it up and then you stick it up. You can have a postcard made out of it as well.
Jess, you got any buttons you want to contribute to the effort? Okay, next. That colorful light. Hang on, Miss Producer. Let's take a look at the colorful light. Whoops.
Yeah, that colorful lights, multi-seasonal.
Multi-seasonal. Where do you get the lights from?
Okay, the lights can be just a simple LED light. So, of course, those these days, right, the normal warm color one, the yellowish color one, you just need to put the yellow color LED lights. If that twigs that you're using, okay, you hang it with some Christmas ornament, it became Christmassy. Right? So right after Christmas, we have New Year and then Chinese New Year, right? Remove all the ornaments, put some ang paos on it and things like that. Ta-da! It becomes a Chinese New Year decoration.
Right on. Yeah, I think that works.
Deepavali, just put with extra lamps, okay? For Hari Raya Aidilfitri, you put with ketupat and some greens.
Somehow I think it only works with Christmas and Chinese New Year. Deepavali, tree, no, don't. Hari Raya
Not
tree
tree.
also, no. All right, anyway, what is this?
Oh, this, of course, during Christmas, you have celebration, your fizzy pops with all these corks.
Because I haven't had some for a while, that's why I didn't notice. That was a cork.
Correct.
And you
It's a
turned
cork
into a reindeer.
with just some twigs, that's all. Just find those twigs with a lot of Ys on it. Yeah. You reverse them, becomes legs. You put it on top, becomes antlers, and there you go.
I don't know if I'm going to have any of the bubbly just to make that, but if you have had some bubbly recently, don't throw away your corks. You never know when they might come in handy.
Yeah, those days, the non-alcoholic, those fizzy drinks that makes to look like wine, they have corks like this, but these days are all plastic, man.
Yeah, most of them are plastic corks nowadays.
I've been shot with 2
Plastic
recently.
corks.
Yes, because no weddings, right? One of the ceremonies is like, pop, right?
I mean, okay, we were talking about ESG a little bit, but why plastic? I mean, the corks, this is biodegradable. The plastic is not.
Correct.
Yeah, well, anyway.
Exactly, right?
It's
But
so non-traditional.
economical from the manufacturer's perspective. Yeah.
Right.
Water caps.
What is that?
Bottle caps, plastic
bottle
bottle
cap,
caps.
okay.
Yeah, if
Yeah.
you get those in green,
Cool.
there's a lot here in Malaysia that is green in color. If not, just paint them. And then you just put them into a tree shape, can stick it on the wall, big postcards. Yeah, there you
You got a
go.
lot of bottle caps, and you saw what you can do with the base earlier. So you can use the caps and do this. Wow, nice. Okay, do we have anything else, Johnson?
Yeah, one of my favorite ones.
Okay, here we go.
That one at the back.
Johnson's favorite hack is still to come.
So the
one
other
more hack.
Yeah, so those twigs or bamboos, okay, you get them in different length. Just tie them up into a tree shape. Okay, tie them up and then hang them up. Then you have a Christmas tree, right? Put that with lights and some Christmas ornament.
I hope we can bring that visual up because I would love to see that firsthand.
Yeah.
So, how many of these hacks do you actually try out yourself?
Around half of that.
Half of that?
Actually, we have one of that almost look alike there, over there behind Jess.
You mean the reef?
There, this is the one. This is my favorite one.
Okay, all right. So it's just
one.
sticks that you find around the house or
Anyway, I came from the kampung, so
neighborhood.
it's very easy. Nowadays, probably harder. And even, unfortunate happened in the campsites, right? These days, you go to campsite, you can't find twigs like this.
Right.
Everyone used to make campfires, so no more.
Oh boy. Well, campsites are sort of a no-no these days. I mean, for the next month or so, I would strongly advise everyone to avoid a campsite simply because the weather does not permit, and we already have seen what can happen with unregulated campsites. So on that note, Johnson's hacks, I hope you try them out this Christmas. Thank you very much, Johnson, for coming in. And Merry Christmas in advance to you. We'll have you back on Christmas Eve. But for now, we want to take a look at some of the exciting new programs that are coming your way on TV2. Wow, look at what we have for you this Christmas. So you want to tune into TV2 and watch for free, no subscription necessary, no monthly bills. You just tune in, you watch. You may have to put up with a few ads along the way, but hey, that's just a sign that you're staring at your screen too long. So you can get up, go do some business, go get some food, come back and enjoy the show, That's how people used to do it. I hope it's still something that suits the family this holiday season. We've got some exciting programs coming up on TV2 just for you this Christmas season. So stay with us on TV2. Watch for free, as I said. That's the best part of viewing this experience on free-to-air television. On that note, thank you very much for joining us. You can also catch us on all our virtual online platforms as well on RTM Click, even on our YouTube page. And you can also stream us on BERITA RTM. Plus, look out for bite-sized content on our TikTok and Instagram platforms. This has been Talk to Terrence. It's been a pleasure speaking to you, and I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas in advance. Take care out there and stay safe, everyone. On that note, have a great day ahead. Terrence Das signing off. Over to you, Jazz.
You better watch out, you better not cry, you better not pout, I'm telling you why. Santa Claus is coming to town.